Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. This week's Parashah 43 begins with Numbers 33:1. You'll find that on page 191 of your complete Jewish Bible.
These are the stages in the journey of the people of Israel as they left the land of Egypt, divided into groups under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. Moses recorded each of the stages of their journey by order of Adonai. Here are the starting points of each stage.
They began their journey from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month, the morning after Passover. The people of Israel left proudly in view of all the Egyptians. While the Egyptians were burying those among them whom Adonai had killed, all their firstborn, Adonai had also executed judgment on their gods. The people of Israel moved on from Ramses and camped at Sukkot.
They moved on from Sukkot and camped at Etam, by the edge of the desert. They moved on from Etam and turned back to Pi-Shariat in front of Baal Tasphron and camped it before Migdol. They moved on from Pi-Nashrat, passed through the sea to the desert, continued 3 days' journey into the Edom desert and camped at Marah. They moved on from Marah and came to Elim. In Elim were 12 springs and 70 palm trees. So they camped there. They moved on from Elim and camped by the Sea of Suf.
They moved on from the Sea of Suf and camped in the Sin desert. They moved on from the Sin desert and camped at Dafka. They moved on from Dafka and camped at Alush. They moved on from Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They moved on from Rephidim and camped in the Sinai desert. They moved on from the Sinai desert and camped at Kivrat Hatava. They moved on from Kivrat Hatava and camped at Hatzerat. They moved on from Hatzerat and camped at Ritma. They moved on from Ritma and camped at Rimmon Peretz. They moved on from Rimmon Peretz and camped at Libnah. They moved on from Libnah and camped at Risha. They moved on from Risha and camped at Kahila. They moved on from Kahila and camped at Mount Shephar. They moved on from Mount Shephar and camped at Heradah. They moved on from Heradah and camped at Mechalot. They moved on from Mechalot and camped at Tachat. They moved on from Tachat and camped at Terach. They moved on from Terach and camped at Mitka. They moved on from Mitka and camped at Ha-Shamona. They moved on from Ha-Shamona and camped at Maserat. They moved on from Maserat and camped at Bnei Yakan. They moved on from Bnei Yakam and camped at Hor HaGedad. They moved on from Hor HaGedad and camped at Yotvata. They moved on from Yotvata and camped at Abarona. They moved on from Abarona and camped at Hetzeron Geber. They moved on from Hetzeron Geber and camped in the Zin desert, that is, Kadesh.
They moved on from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor, at the border of the land of Edom. At Adonai's order, Aaron the Cohen went up on Mount Hor, and he died there on the first day of the 5th month of the 14th year after the people of Israel had left the land of Egypt. 40th year, excuse me. Of the 40th year after the people of Israel had left the land of Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. The Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev in the land of Canaan, had heard that the people of Israel were coming. So they moved on from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmona.
They moved on from Zalmona and camped at Punan. They moved on from Punan and camped at Ovat. They moved on from Ovat and camped at Abram, by the border of Moab. They moved on from Eam and camped at Devon Gad. They moved on from Devon Gad and camped at Almon Diblatium. They moved on from Almon Diblatium and camped in the Abram range in the Noble. They moved on from the Abram range and camped in the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. The camp by the Jordan extended from Beit Ha-Yeshimoth all the way to Abel Ha-Shittim in the plains of Moab.
Adonai spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. He said, to tell the people of Israel, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, you are to expel all the people living in the land from in front of you. Destroy all their stone figures. Destroy all their metal statues, and demolish all their high places. Drive out the inhabitants of the land, and live in it. For I have given the land to you to possess. You will inherit the land by lot according to your families. You are to give more land to the larger families and less to the smaller ones. Wherever the lot falls to any particular person, that will be his property. You will inherit according to the tribes of your ancestors. But if you don't drive out the inhabitants of the land from in front of you, then those you allow to remain will become like thorns in your eyes and stings in your sides. They will harass you in the land where you are living. And in this event, I will do to you what I intended to do to them.
Adonai told Moses to give this order to the people of Israel. When you enter the land of Canaan, it will become your land to pass on as an inheritance, the land of Canaan as defined by these borders.
Your southern portion will extend to the Zin Desert, close to the border of Edom. The eastern terminus of your southern border is at the end of the Dead Sea. From there, your border turns, goes south to the Akabin ascent, and passes on to Zin. From there, it goes south to Kadesh Barnea, on to Hatzah Adah, and on to Atzmon. Then the border turns and goes from Atzmon to the Valley of Egypt and along it to the sea.
Your western border will be the Great Sea.
Your northern border will be as follows. From the Great Sea, mark a line to Mount Hor. And from Mount Hor, mark a line to the entrance of Hamat. The border goes out to Zad. Then the border goes to Ziphron, and finally Hatzar Einan. This is your northern border.
For the eastern border, mark your line from Hatzor Enan to Shepham. Then the border goes down from Shepham to Riblah on the east side of the Ain, and down until it hits the slope east of Lake Kinneret. From there it goes down the Jordan until it hits the slope east of Lake Kinneret. From there it goes down the Jordan River till it flows into the Dead Sea. These will be the borders of your land.
And Moses gave this order to the people of Israel. This is the land in which you will receive inheritance by lot, which Adonai has ordered to give to the 9 tribes and the half-tribe. The tribe of the descendants of Reuben have already received their land for inheritance according to their clans, and so have the descendants of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh. These 2.5 tribes have received their inheritance on this side of the Jordan, across from Jericho and eastward toward the sunrise.
Adonai said to Moses, "These are the names of the men who will take possession of the land for you: Eleazar the Cohen and Joshua the son of Nun. Also appoint 1 leader from each tribe to take possession of the land. The names of these men are, from the tribe of Judah, Caleb, son of Uphandi; from the tribe of the descendants of Simon, Shemuel, the son of Ammuhad; from the tribe of Benjamin, Elidad, the son of Kishlon; from the tribe of the descendants of Dan, a leader, Berkai, son of Yogli; from the descendants of Joseph; from the tribe of the descendants of Manasseh, a leader, Haniel, the son of Ephod; from the tribe of the descendants of Ephraim, a leader, Kemuel, the son of Shiptan; from the tribe of the descendants of Zebulun, a leader, Elitzaphan, the son of Parnakah; from the tribe of the descendants of Issachar, a leader, Paltiel, the son of Ajon; from the tribe of the descendants of Asher, a leader, Echihud, the son of Shemoli; from the tribe of the descendants of Naphtali, a leader, Padahel, the son of Ammihud. These are the ones whom Adonai ordered to divide the inheritance among the people of Israel in the land of Canaan."
In the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho, Adonai said to Moses, "Order the people of Israel to give to the Levites cities to live in from the inheritance they will possess. And you are also to give to the Levites some of the open land surrounding the cities. They are to have the cities to live in, while their open land will be for their livestock, for growing crops, and for all their animals. The open land around the cities you give to the Levi is to commence at the line drawn around the city wall, 1,500 feet outside it, and is to extend outward from there. Measure 3,000 feet outward from the city wall to the east, south, west, and north, with the city in the center. The space between the 1,500-foot line and the 3,000-foot line will be their open land around the cities. The cities you give to the Levi are to be the 6 cities of refuge to which you permit the person who kills someone to flee to, plus an additional 42 cities. Thus, you will give the Levi 48 cities with their surrounding open land. As to the cities you will give from those the people of Israel possess, from the many you will take away, and from the few you will take few. Each tribe will contribute from its cities to the Levi, in accordance with the size of its inheritance.
Adonai said to Moses, "Tell the people of Israel, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, You are to designate for yourselves cities that will be cities of refuge for you, to which anyone who kills someone by mistake can flee. These cities are to be a refuge for you from the dead person's next of kin, who might otherwise avenge his kinsman's death by slaying the killer prior to his standing trial before the community. In regard to the cities you are to give, there are to be 6 cities of refuge for you. You are to give 3 cities east of the Jordan, and 3 cities in the land of Canaan, as they will be cities of refuge. These 6 cities will serve as refuge for the people of Israel, as well as for the foreigner and resident alien with them, so that anyone who kills someone by mistake may flee there.
However, if he hits him with an iron implement and thus causes his death, he is a murderer. The murderer must be put to death. Or if he hits him with a stone in his hand big enough to kill someone and he dies, he is a murderer. The murderer must be put to death. Or if he hits him with a wood utensil in his hand capable of killing someone and he dies, he is a murderer. The murderer must be put to death. The next of kin avenger is to put the murderer to death himself. Upon meeting him, he is to put him to death. Likewise, if he shoves him out of hatred, or intentionally throws something at him causing his death, or out of hostility strikes him with his hand, or that he dies, then the one who struck him must be put to death. He's a murderer. And the next of kin avenger is to put the murderer to death upon meeting him.
But suppose he shoves him suddenly, but without hostility, or he throws something at him unintentionally, or without seeing him, being his enemy, or seeking to harm him, he throws a stone big enough to cause death, and the person dies. Then the community is to judge between the one who struck him and the next of kin avenger in accordance with these rules, and the community is to save the killer from the next of kin avenger. The community is to return him to the city of refuge to which he fled, and he is to live there until the Kohen Haggadol, who was anointed with the holy oil, dies. But if the killer ever goes beyond the limits of the city of refuge he fled to, and the next of kin avenger finds him outside the limits of his city of refuge, and the avenger kills the killer, he will not be guilty of the man's blood, because he must stay in his city of refuge until the death of the Kohen Haggadol. But after the death of the Kohen Haggadol, the killer may return to the land he owns. These things shall constitute your standard for judgment through all your generations wherever you live.
If anyone kills someone, the murderer is to be put to death upon the testimony of witnesses. But the testimony of only one witness will not suffice to cause a person to be put to death. Also, you are not to accept a ransom in lieu of the life of a murderer condemned to death. Rather, he must be put to death. Likewise, you are not to accept for someone who has fled to his city of refuge a ransom that would allow him to return to his land before the death of the Kohen. In this way, you will not defile the land in which you are living, for blood defiles the land, and in this land no atonement can be made for the blood shed in it, except the blood of him who shed it. No, you are not to defile the land in which you live and in which I live, for I, Adonai, live among the people of Israel.
The leaders of the clans of the family of the descendants of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the descendants of Joseph, approached and addressed Moses and the leaders, the heads of the clans of the people of Israel. They said, Adonai ordered my Lord to give by lot the land to be inherited by the people of Israel. And my Lord was ordered by Adonai to give the inheritance of our kinsman Zelophehad, Chad, to his daughters. But if they get married to anyone belonging to another of the tribes of the people of Israel, then their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of our ancestors and be added to the inheritance of the tribe they will belong to. Thus it will be taken away from the sum total of our inheritance. And when the Jubilee of the people of Israel comes, their inheritance will be added to the land possessed by the tribe they will then belong to, and be subtracted from the inheritance belonging to the tribe of our ancestors.
Moses gave this order to the people of Israel in keeping with the word of Adonai. The tribe of the descendants of Joseph is right in what it says. Here is what Adonai has ordered concerning the daughters of Shad. Let them be married to whomever they think best, but they must marry only into a family from their father's tribe. In this way, no inheritance of the people of Israel will move from one tribe belonging to his father's tribe. Will move from one tribe to another, for each of the people of Israel is to hold on to the land for inheritance belonging to his father's tribe. Every daughter who possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the people of Israel is to become the wife of someone from the family of her father's tribe, so that every one of the people of Israel will stay in possession of his ancestors' inheritance. Thus, no inheritance will move from one tribe to another, for each of the tribes of the people of Israel will hold on to its own inheritance.
The daughters of Zelophehad did as Adonai had ordered Moses. Machlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah all got married to sons of their father's brothers. There they were married into the families of the descendants of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in the tribe of their father's family. These are the mitzvah rulings which Adonai gave through Moses to the people of Israel in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. And then we have Jeremiah 2, 4 through 28. You find that on page 545. Jeremiah 2, 4.
Jeremiah 2:4. Hear the word of Adonai, house of Jacob, and all families in the house of Israel. Here's what Adonai says.
What did your ancestors find wrong with me to make them go so far away from me, to make them go after nothings and become themselves nothings? They didn't ask, where is Adonai, who brought us out of the land of Egypt, who led us through the desert, through a land of wastes and ravines, through a land of drought and death-dark shadows, through a land where no one travels and where no one ever lived. I brought you into a fertile land to enjoy its fruit and all its good things. But when you entered, you defiled my land and made my heritage loathsome. The Cohen didn't ask, where is Adonai? Those who deal with the Torah did not know me. The people's shepherds rebelled against me. The prophets prophesied by Baal and went after things of no value.
So again I state my case against you, says Adonai, and state it against your grandchildren too. Cross to the coasts of the Kittim and look. Send to Kedar and observe closely. See if anything like this has happened before. Has a nation never exchanged its gods, and theirs are not idols at all? Yet my people have exchanged their glory for something without value. Be aghast at this, you heavens. Shudder in absolute horror, says Adonai, for my people have committed two evils. They have abandoned me, the fountain of living water, and dug themselves cisterns, broken cisterns, that can hold no water at all.
Is Israel a slave, born into serfdom? If not, why has he become plunder? The young lions are roaring at him. How loudly they are roaring. They desolate his country, demolishing and depopulating his cities. The people of Noph and Tachpenches feed on the crown of your head.
Haven't you brought this on yourself by abandoning Adonai your God when he led you along the way? If you go to Egypt, what's in it for you? Drinking water from the Nile? If you go to Asher, what's in it for you? Drinking water from the Euphrates River? Your own wickedness will correct you. Your own backslidings will convict you. You will know and see how bad and bitter it was to abandon Adonai your God, and how fear of me is not in you, says Adonai Elohim Tazavo.
For long ago I broke your yoke. When I snapped your chains, you said, I won't sin. Yet on every high hill, under every green tree, you sprawled and prostituted yourself. I planted you as a choice vine of seed fully tested and true. How did you degenerate into a wild vine for me? Even if you scrub yourself with soda and plenty of soap, the stain of your guilt is still there before me, says Adonai Elohim.
How can you say, I am not defiled? I have not pursued the Balaam. Look at your conduct in the valley. Understand what you have done. You are a restive young female camel, running here and there, wild, accustomed to the desert, sniffing the wind in her lust. Who can control her when she's in heat? Males seeking her need not weary themselves, for at mating season they will find her.
Stop before your shoes wear out and your throat is dry from thirst. But you say, no, it's hopeless. I love these strangers and I'm going after them. Just as a thief is ashamed when he is caught, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They, their kings, their leaders, their Cohen, and their prophets, who say to a log, you are my father, and to a stone you gave us birth, for they have turned their backs to me instead of their faces. But when trouble comes, they will plead, rouse yourself and save us. Where are your gods that you made for yourselves? Let them rouse themselves if they can save you when trouble comes. Judah, you have as many gods as you have cities. And then we have Mark 11, 12 through 23. Find that on page 1277. Mark 11:12.
Mark 11:12. The next day, as they came back from Beit Anya, he felt hungry, spotting in the distance a fig tree in leaf. He went to see if he could find anything on it. When he came up to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it wasn't fig season. He said to it, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. And his Talmudim heard what he said.
On reaching Jerusalem, he entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were carrying on business there, both the merchants and their customers. He also knocked over the desks of the money changers upset the benches of the pigeon dealers, and refused to let anyone carry merchandise through the temple courts. Then, as he taught them, he said, "Isn't it written in the Tanakh, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all the Goyim'? But you have made it into a den of robbers." The head Cohen and the Torah teachers heard what he said and tried to find a way to do away with him. They were afraid of him because the crowds were utterly taken by his teaching. When evening came, they left the city.
In the morning, as the Talmudim passed by, they saw the fig tree withered all the way to its roots. And Peter remembered and said to Yeshua, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree that you cursed has dried up." And he responded, "Have the kind of trust that comes from God. Yes, I tell you that whoever does not doubt in his heart, but trusts that what he says will happen, can say to this mountain, 'Go and throw yourself into the sea,' and it will be done for him. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, trust that you are receiving it, and it will be yours. And when you stand praying, if you have anything against anyone, forgive him, so that your Father in heaven may also forgive your offenses."
Now we have James 4, 1 through 12. Find that on page 1512. James 4, 1. What is causing all the quarrels and fights among you? Isn't it your desires battling inside you? You desire things and don't have them. You kill and you are jealous, and you still can't get them. So you fight and quarrel. The reason you don't have is that you don't pray, or you pray and don't receive, because you pray with the wrong motive, that of wanting to indulge your own desires.
You unfaithful wives, don't you know that loving the world is hating God? Whoever chooses to be the world's friend makes himself God's enemy. Or do you suppose the scripture speaks in vain when it says that there is a spirit in us which longs to envy? But the grace he gives is greater, which is why it says, "God opposes the arrogant, but to the humble he gives grace." Therefore submit to God. Moreover, take a stand against the adversary, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and he will come close to you. Clean your hands, sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded people. Wail, mourn, and sob. Let your laughter be turned into mourning, and your joy into gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up.
Brothers, stop speaking against each other. Whoever speaks against a brother or judges a brother is speaking against Torah and judging Torah. And if you judge Torah, you are not a doer of what the Torah says, but a judge. There is but one giver of Torah. He is also the judge, with the power to deliver and to destroy. Who do you think you are, judging your fellow human being?
Thank you, Father God, for a great Shabbat. Thank you for helping us to humble ourselves before you. We are certainly enjoying your presence in our lives today and every day. Amen.
Amen.